Hey everybody, my name is Brayden,
And I'm Ashley.
and we're here to talk trikes.
All right. Well, hey, thanks for having me this episode here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll have you whatever you want.
Yeah.
Come on all the time. We're gonna do the Would You Rather show again because we had so much fun last time.
Okay.
So it's been going around the office. I think Ashley just really wanted to get in here and have a go at it. So we're gonna do some Would You Rathers.
Right.
I'll start with the first question. We can go from
Okay,
there.
let's go.
So to start with, would you rather have your trike narrate your ride like a GPS or play sound effects for every turn?
That's a good one.
Do you get to pick the sound effect?
Yeah, I mean that could be fun if I get race car sound effects every time I go around.
Every time you turn.
But actually, I think I would go for the narration. That'd be kind of fun.
What do you want it to narrate?
Just, and there goes our hero riding down the street on his, and here comes a dog.
Yeah.
And,
And on your left, there's okay. Maybe.
Yeah, if it gave me a little warning for things too, that'd be good.
That's not so bad. There's a car behind you.
Yeah.
He doesn't know it yet, but he's about to get hit by a car.
Yes, I think. Yeah, I watched Stranger Than Fiction a couple months ago.
Okay.
And Will Ferrell, his life is narrated, and it's kind of like that would be
on the trike.
disturbing, but it might be kind of cool as a early warning system. So,
Yeah, I want the the Batman kapow sounds, bang pow every time I turn, bam, wham, every time.
that would be fun one time.
For a good
But if
one
it was
ride.
every time, I think.
No one would invite me to ride with them.
Although I guess it would also depend on what the voice was.
Yeah, I think for both, right?
Yeah, right. All right, well, my turn here. So I'm going to pick a question for you. Let's see what we...
And these are all winner questions.
Okay, so I've got here, would you rather have a spare tube or a patch kit?
I'd rather just have a spare tube on the side of the road than try patching it out there in the middle of nowhere. Patch kits are good if I come home, I think. I have time to sit there and make sure the patch is in right. Not that I couldn't on the side of the road, but on a quick fix out in the sun, I'd rather just pop a new tube in.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I've been in that scenario multiple times, and it's really nice to have a tube because you can do it quickly, except if you get more than one flat.
Sure. And that's the thing. A patch kit's going to be a lot smaller. So if you are going to go long distance and plan on getting a lot of flats, it's a lot easier to keep patch set than a bunch of tubes.
I don't think it's about planning to get a lot of flats, but it's planning in case.
Right. You don't plan to hit cactuses or anything. You don't aim for them.
You don't have.
You're
to
riding wrong. I think.
You don't have to. Yeah.
Construction sites, nails. That's what I'm aiming for.
Right. Yeah.
If you don't run over glass bottles, then it's not a fun ride.
Maybe.
Okay. Would you rather have clipless pedals or heel support?
100% clipless.
Yeah.
I ride with clipless all the time. And I know that we build a lot of trikes with those heel support pedals. And I have a hard time with those. I have big feet and big shoes, and they're harder to fit. Plus, you can't fine tune them as much. I think if you want the ultimate protection, as far as I do not want my feet to come off the pedals, and particularly if you have a motor, those heel support pedals are great. But if you're actually out there and you're pedaling a lot and you're climbing hills, you're getting on and off, I'd much rather have the clipless pedals.
I'm glad you got that question because you ride with the clipless sandals, right?
Right.
You have specific clipless shoes that you wear.
I'm a fan of the SPD clipless system, and I ride with sandals.
That was because when people are switching between clip and heel support or straps or something, it's always finding the right shoe.
Right.
Right. So if you have the right shoe, clipless pedals are great.
And that is
But-
hard to find the right shoe.
That's the challenge.
Like the sandals that I wear are probably 15 years old. And I've even gotten new ones. I didn't like them as much, and I just keep wearing the old ones.
That was always anyone can hop on a heel support as long as their feet fit, and it'll work fine. It'll do the same job.
Yeah, I think what is the size limit? Like
Size 13. It's like 13 is like the like rough cutoff. Anything above that, if you're like a wide 12, it's not going to work.
Yeah, and I mean I have size 14, and then I wear these really big Crocs.
Yeah.
And
There's not a chance.
Yeah, there's no way, no way. So. All right, let's see what we got. Okay, let's see. Would you rather have suspension or have your trike be rigid?
Oh, I'd rather have suspension. I mean, plain and simple, I think. Right. I mean, I'm all about comfort. Comfort riding. If it was a question between speed and comfort, I'm going comfort, right? Which is what this kind of boils down to. Rigid frames are fantastic if you're trying to go fast, right? You feel that road. There's no power loss in the suspension and kind of bowing in. So if I was interested in racing and going quicker, I would go rigid, but I don't care.
I guess it kind of depends on the trike, because there's very few trikes that you can choose.
Right, it's true.
So most trikes, if I choose this trike, it's going to be rigid. If I choose this trike, it's going to have suspension. And certainly there are some, we've been out there riding a lot of trikes lately and comparing suspensions. Like Ice, for example, they're one where you can have the same model, but you can have it with suspension or without suspension.
I mean, very modular, right?
Yeah.
When we've talked about that before, but there's always the, if the trike is capable of having suspension, I'm going to always have suspension on it. Right. And of course, it's a budget thing. But if in this would you rather scenario where I just get one,
yeah,
I'm
if you
gonna
only
get the
had one
suspension.
forever,
I'm not racing all the time,
yeah,
or ever in
that
my
would be
case.
tough.
But
Yeah.
that's my answer.
All right. Well,
All right. Let's hope for a winner. Would you rather have Would you rather have dual brake lever or separate right and left?
100% right and left.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went out riding the other day with a customer, and in his scenario, he had the single
Dual pull.
lever, and I had the right and left. And then when we kind of switched and compared, and then that comes up a lot because we're riding different trikes, and I had another scenario where we were riding a quad. It was kind of the same thing. That single pull, it works fantastic, and it really does a good job of stopping you straight. I am so used to using the right and left to help me steer at high speeds. Like if I'm going really fast, I want to hook around a corner, I gotta have that. So
Yeah, I usually tell people if you don't need the dual pull, I don't typically recommend it, right? For like adaptive purposes, if you don't have use or have limited use in one of your hands, you're kind of limited to a dual pull. But my problem, especially with like the locking brake levers, you can't ever get them to fully close and engage that brake lock because you're putting too much pressure on both the calipers.
yeah, it gets a little finicky.
It'll still work. I'm not saying it doesn't, but you have more stopping power in the brakes if you have an individual left and right.
Yeah.
So that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, I had a trike that was set up with a rear brake because I would go downhill as fast as I could all the time. So I had a drag brake on the rear.
Sure.
And even on that one, on my left hand, I had a rear brake lever, but then I still had my left lever.
You had both levers
shifted
on one
over.
side.
in my right because I couldn't give it up.
Yeah, I
Couldn't
didn't
give
want
it
that
up.
dual pull.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's see. All right. Could we have printed these any smaller? Okay. Would you rather trike 100 miles solo or 10 miles with someone who talks nonstop?
What a hard question. Probably 100 miles solo. But I think I'd enjoy riding those 100 miles, right? I mean, I guess it always depends. Is it 10 miles downhill and 100 uphill? Or is it just someone talking? If it's flat terrain, the whole 100 miles, I don't know.
I don't know.
I guess if they're narrating my ride,
Yeah.
there's a
Yeah,
dog
if you've
coming
got
up,
the
then it's like, oh, all
narrator.
right. But if they're, I don't know.
I don't know. I think that for me, one of the fun parts of riding a trike is that social aspect where you're sitting down, when you're riding with someone and you're climbing hills at a slower speed, or you're just on a bike trail, or riding around town or riding out in the country, and being able to just have conversations.
Conversations flow easy on a
Yeah.
trike.
Yeah, I think it depends. If all you have is just, if you're riding with someone annoying, they're going to be annoying on a trike or not, right? Riding 100 miles by yourself, though, is rough. I've done a few Sentry rides where even though you're with a lot of people riding, you're in it by yourself a lot of the times, and so you're not talking, but a lot of times that's all about speed.
Yeah.
And
I figured it would be more of like a nature cruise for me.
yeah.
Laid back. I kick it in the furthest back position. I'd go 3 miles per hour the whole way. It would take me 7 days to get through it.
For me, it kind of comes down to, though, would I rather ride by myself or with someone else? Even if there's conversation.
Gosh, if they can keep up with you the whole time,
I mean, I don't know.
And they're slowing down to keep up.
Yeah, I've done it both ways, and maybe they have a motor.
Yeah, that's true. Well, that's what I was saying. 100 miles with a motor, I don't care. I'll do that. That was my turn.
It's your
My turn. We're gonna do a fun question.
Okay.
Okay, we're gonna get a question. Would you rather have foam grips or rubber grips?
Is this a forever and ever situation, right?
Yeah, you also can't ever replace them. So when the rubber starts rubbing off or the foam splits, you're out of luck. You're stuck with that.
See, and I've experienced both of those scenarios where the foam grips deteriorate, and then at a point every time you ride, you have bits of grip come off. But then I've also had that with the rubber grips.
Yeah. So I guess for the short time that they're both enjoyable.
I think that if I can change the grips, like as needed, even if it's, I think I would probably go with the foam grips.
Yeah.
Just because the foam grips tend to be a little bit fatter, a little bit more comfortable.
They're softer.
They're softer.
I can squeeze them.
I
also, if you are going to be replacing them, replacing foam's just easier.
That's
doing a little bit of rubbing alcohol and squeezing, especially if you're going to try to fit cables in the rubber ones.
Yeah, those SRAM rubber grips sometimes.
You can do it. It just foam,
especially if you've got to snake the cables underneath it, they can be a little trying.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got here. Would you rather have indirect or direct steering?
My dream trike is the tie fly, right? The A's of tie fly. And that one's indirect, and I think that feels fantastic. So my answer is indirect. That being said, I have no problem with the Cat Trike Max's direct steering. So I always tell people, I think that whatever you've ridden for more than 6 months is going to be your preferred steering. And so right now I've got the max. I've been riding the max, and I like my direct steering. If I got rid of the max, I switched to an indirect steering trike and rode that for 6 months, I think that would be my new preference. But the same thing, I get rid of that indirect, I switch to direct, I ride that for a little while. I'm used to that one now. I think that's my new preference. I don't know if it's really ever mattered. I don't know if I feel very strongly about it. It's just, what am I used to riding at that time of riding? I think it matters a lot more for new riders getting into it, right? When they come in, they don't know anything about it. They're hopping in and riding, and they're like, well, this one feels better. Well, that's probably the one you should go with. But given a week or an hour, 3 hours of riding it outside, you're not going to notice a difference, in my opinion.
Yeah, I find that the direct steering versus indirect steering has less to do with how a trike handles and more to do with your actual riding cockpit comfort.
Right.
So I find like direct steering generally tends to be easier to adjust the handlebars, especially with like two-piece setups. You could move the handlebars in a lot more positions.
Right.
Whereas indirect steering is kind of like power steering. It's usually always easier to turn, and it's also isolated from the road more. So usually riding comfort wise, indirect steering. But I've ridden trikes that had direct steering that weren't great handling trikes, and I've ridden trikes indirect steering that weren't great. And opposite of that, I've ridden fantastic trikes with both.
I think you put it perfectly when you started talking and said that it matters more on cockpit and comfort than anything.
Right.
The steering's one of the last things. I sit in the trike. If I notice the steering, that's the problem.
Right.
That's what it comes
Yeah, you
down
basically, you want to get in a trike and you want to be able to ride it, and you want it to want to go straight.
Right.
So you want to be the one that says, hey, we're going to turn now, versus the trike deciding.
Funny thing, indirect steering, the power steering, right? And it's easier to turn. That, in my opinion, and I've noticed in the trikes that have come in here, those are always the ones that are so temperamental in getting them to steer straight, right? If a tire's off pressure on an indirect system, you will know it'll steer that way. On a direct, it feels more firm and to the ground. That my tire's 10 pounds lighter on this. I couldn't tell you in the steering.
Right. Yeah, we have had a lot of people that have come in and they go, my trike's veering to the right, and then you see when they're riding, they lean just a little bit.
Yeah, a weight imbalance.
It kind of has more of a tendency to follow which way the rider's leaning.
Which I just feel like I see a lot less in the direct steering models than the indirect. So
they're simpler.
Yeah.
And that's really what it comes down to. I mean, direct steering is a significantly simpler setup. Even if you have double handlebars and they're more adjustable, it's still a handlebar that's connected directly to the wheel.
Right. Well, there's no extra bars or anything leading through.
Right. You don't
there's
have
no
an
other clamps you have to worry
pivot.
about.
You have one less tie rod. So.
And folding, you don't have to worry about dropping the handlebars.
Yeah.
And then realigning them when you unfold it correctly.
That's true. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think you can go wrong with either. But
again, it all comes down to
other
the
things.
trike.
Yeah, other factors. It's the last thing
Yeah.
I guess I'm worried about.
Right.
Okay. Me?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Would you rather have a tail light or a headlight? Would you rather be blind in front of you or have cars not see you?
If I could only have one light, it would definitely be a tail light.
Yeah.
Safety light.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I like to have a tail light. Most of the time you're going to be traveling on the same side of the road with cars. So you don't need to worry so much about a car coming up on you.
Right.
because they're on the other side of the road, but there are cars coming behind you. So having a nice big tail light, I think that's probably your first line of defense.
Have you noticed cop cars, at least here in Utah, when they pull you over on the freeway, they turn their front-facing lights off now. So the only lights that flash are the rear. So all your cars coming by are like, oh, there's a cop, I'll get over. But as soon as you're past, he's no longer blinding you. So, I mean, the same thing. But I think there is an argument to be said about, you know, if you're going to be riding the trike on a bike path exclusively, I'm not even getting on the road to get to the bike trail.
Right.
Having a headlight in the dark to see may be beneficial.
I mean, yeah, if you're riding in the dark.
That's throw a curveball at you. Now it's dark and it's late and there's no lights on the road. Are you flipping your taillight around to see?
Right. Well, as I've gotten older and my vision isn't as good, I'm okay with not riding at night as much. So
there's the solution.
I'll stick to the daytime riding for the most part. All right. What do we got here? Okay. Would you rather have an E14 Rohloff or an Enviolo automatic?
I was really impressed by the Enviolo automatic, and I think it does a really good job. It's still a 10-speed sort of gear ratio, and the Rohloff 14-speed is significantly larger. So for practicality purposes and getting the most out of it, I like the Rohloff more. Regardless of the E14 or automatic. If we're even just talking base, I'm going Rohloff. The E14 is now just an added bonus of it being electronic shifting.
Right.
You know, I think I still go with the Rohloff. That being said, we built that quad that one time with the automatic Enviolo, and using the throttle and hearing the automatic spool was pretty cool.
That's cool.
So,
yeah.
But in most cases, Rohloff E14. I like having a bigger gear set.
Yeah, it kind of comes down to, you know, the gear range, I think a lot, you know, and the Enviolo has that 360% to the Rohloff's
540,
540,
something.
You know, and that's such a big difference that, you know, it really...
I don't think they're really comparable.
It really makes it. You know, the other issue too, you know, and I'm not going to say like which one I would prefer, but like one other big consideration there, E14 currently is only compatible with the Bosch motor system. So you are very limited as far as what you can put that on. Where the E4 or where the Enviolo automatic, we put that on pretty much everything. Like even without a motor, we get people come in and they go, hey, I don't have the dexterity to shift. I need something automatic, or they just want something automatic. And even if they're pedal only with a battery pack, we can give them that.
That automatic
the
shifting.
E14 is really tied to a motor system.
Programmed into it. I mean, there's you can't even add it separately without getting the motor programmed, which does throw a curveball at my answer. I love my throttle on the motor, but I don't know. The Rohloff's fantastic. I like the Rohloff a lot.
Yeah. Oh, I mean,
it's hard to beat.
It's really hard to beat. Yeah.
Okay. Got another winner. Would you rather have your trike have a factory color or a custom color? I don't really know if there's a downside on this one.
It depends on which trike and you know what.
Are you paying for it?
And I've had both. You know, I had a custom root beer.
I'm so glad. That's what my first thought was root beer brown.
Yeah, I had that root beer brown expedition that I rode, you know, for a couple of years, and you know, I loved that color. There's a lot of fantastic colors out there.
Oh, yeah.
So, oh man, that's a tough one. And again, I guess it would depend on the trike.
Right.
Because like if it's a carbon trike, I just want
the carbon trike to show. Show off the carbon fiber.
If it's a cat trike, I'm probably going with the Eon green. I love that Eon green.
Did they tell you to say that, or is that like that's a genuine answer?
No, I love that Eon
That's
green.
crazy.
It's just it's such a pretty color.
Yeah,
I know everybody's favorite tends to be the atomic orange, but
that's the popular one.
Yeah, that green. If it's an ice trike, I really like Jan's anniversary edition with that ice cream motif. For me though, if I'm going ice, I'm probably gonna choose that metallic gray.
Yeah,
that
like the red with the
know.
metallic. Yeah.
I mean, that's just fantastic. I guess if I had to choose, and
one color across the board.
yeah, I'd probably go with a custom color.
Yeah. And pick one.
Yeah, I'd just go. I'm not going to say what color I would choose because
it would depend on the trike.
It would depend on the trike. But there is something really cool about choosing a custom color and making the trike yours. And we've been doing custom powder coating for years. And we do, I think we have like 40 different colors.
Oh, yeah.
And we can do 1,000 other colors now. One concern that people bring up all the time is, resale value on trikes, which don't sell your trike. Just get another one and pass it to your family or something.
Someone is going to want the one.
But that does come up, and I have seen some absolutely crazy color combinations come through here.
What I always love, the Aza does the like splash colors on like specific parts.
Yeah.
And we had some crazy ones. The watermelon one comes to mind. They did like the red and the green.
Right.
And it was like each little part was a different color.
They do the purple and yellow. And and I'm like, that's when I see those, I go, wow, that's awesome, because somebody really got something custom.
Well, I mean, even if I saw that on a bike path, I would go, hey, I recognize that trike.
Right.
And I if I know the person well, I could tell you the trike it belongs to.
Yeah.
I don't know. If it's cat trike, I'm picking candy purple factory color. If it is any other brand, I'm custom painting candy purple onto it. I really like that candy purple color, and this isn't just for the videos. It's my favorite color. I would put it on all of them.
Well,
it's okay to be so right.
All right, let's see. Would you rather have a throttle only or a torque sensor and no throttle?
Dang it! Throttle only.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a comfort. I'm out there to see enjoy the scene. I throttle only, like no pedals. Am I just cradled in there with the throttle?
So throttle, yeah. I mean, that's the way I'm gonna interpret it. Is you've got throttle only. Or
pedals with torque sensing.
Pedal assist torque sensor only.
No pedals. I guess you got to go torque sensing.
Well, I think you'd still have pedals.
Okay.
But the motor.
But there's no assist.
Right. You would have to choose the assist.
Well, yeah, I'd still go in throttle then.
Okay.
I like the throttle. I like that if I'm in a pinch, I can throttle out of it. I really love that if something were to happen. And it's not as likely on a recumbent trike, as it would be on a bike. But if I were to somehow hurt my leg out while I'm out riding, I don't have to somehow waddle the trike back to my car or vehicle. I can just use the throttle to get back. Mine's always like a safety feature, right? In the event that something crazy happened and I couldn't pedal, I had the worst cramp of my life, my legs stopped working and I refused, I couldn't pedal anymore, I have that reliable throttle to get around. But also, frankly, I'm just a little lazy. So I love having that throttle available, and having a trike that would strictly require me to pedal always would put me a little more nervous in a lot of situations. I think, it's just me out there and I have to rely on myself a lot more, and I don't have the crutch of a throttle to just guarantee that I can do it. And I don't know. I know you're going to disagree with
You guys are too dependent on the motors. That's I mean, for me, if I had to choose like trike with a motor versus trike with no motor, and that was a one and only choice, I would always choose the trike without a motor, because I don't want to get stuck somewhere where if I'm dependent on a motor, what if my battery dies, or, that extra weight. I've ridden both setups, though. I rarely use the throttle, so
I probably use mine more than I should.
Yeah. I mean, I do enjoy, like, when we go out and we ride, some of the quads that have no pedals.
Right.
And, those are an absolute blast. And obviously, those are throttle only. So
That's legit. Well, we've got the nice thing about the throttle units. That's what we're using to film all of us when we're out there, right?
Right.
In your Versus videos, you've got your two trikes that, every once in a while might have a motor on them. But the guy in front of you is always throttle.
Garrett's out in front on the film quad filming us, and he doesn't even have pedals.
No, I can't imagine him up there pedaling and trying to film.
Yeah, no, he just has the throttle, and his rig can go about 35 miles an hour. And, where I still try to pass him every single time, going down the hill at least. And, throttle has its place.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
That's fun that I got that question. Would you rather have a folding trike or a car rack?
That's trickier.
You have to lift them in both scenarios.
If I had to choose one or the other, I think that the folding trike might be a little more accommodating, but it kind of depends on the scenario.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say generally in a more generic sense, having the car rack is more flexible because I can put any trike on it.
Well, not every vehicle you can transport will fit even a folded trike in it.
Right.
I don't think I could fold. Actually, I know I can. I can't fold a trike and cram it into my Charger. It's not going to fit.
Well, and then there's trikes that, it's like if you've got the Max, which is a bigger trike, it doesn't fold, so having and then there's a lot of trikes that don't fold. So if you said I'm only going to go folding, then you're kind of limiting yourself. The nice thing about a folding trike, though, is not only can you transport it in your car, but usually you can store them easier, and you can, take it with you and not worry about, I'm parking in a parking lot, and and we've had that happen, where we've gone on trips and we've had, a couple really expensive high-end trikes hanging off the back of the car. And when you park at the hotel, you gotta make sure that you're constantly
keep the window cracked, park in the front.
You're going, hey, because we've heard from customers before that have said, somebody took off with my trikes and they were
definitely a lot safer to throw it in the car, lock it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's transporting vehicles on a rack. I don't know if you remember the guy who threw it on the top of his vehicle. It was like an SUV, and then he went through a fast food drive-through and knocked the trike off the top. I mean, I shouldn't laugh. It was brand new. It was so sad.
That's not even the only time that's happened.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we had a poor woman, and this was years ago, and her husband had left the Trikes, the Trike with us for a tune-up. And so we tuned it up. And so she said, hey, I'm going to come in with my daughter and pick it up. So they picked it up. They put it on the car rack on the top of the car. And then about an hour later, she comes in and she goes, right when we left here, my daughter and I went through the McDonald's drive-through, and that bar on the top of the drive-through completely destroyed the seat on the Trike. So we pull it off, and all the damage was just to the seat.
Okay. Yeah.
And so
That's not the worst.
yeah, and so we said, yeah, no problem, we'll do this. She says, yeah, let's get this done so my husband doesn't find out, whatever. And so we do that, right? And then she takes off. We think that's it. An hour and a half later, she comes back, and we're like, hey, what's going on? And she says, yeah, so we have one of those wooden garage doors that opens up.
Oh, no.
And when we pulled into the garage, we forgot the Trike was on top again, and ended up
Did the same thing with the same
smashing
seat?
the seat off.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah, so we said, okay, well, we do have another seat here, and this time let's not put the seat on the Trike. You can put the seat on, when you get home. So,
All that to say, there's definitely more security putting
if it was a
inside the
folding
vehicle.
Trike,
Yeah,
it would have just fit
could've just fitted
inside,
in there.
and they would have saved themselves a couple of seats.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, what do we got here? Okay. Would you rather ride through a surprise downpour or a swarm of bugs?
Oh no. Both of them I'm getting covered in stuff I don't really okay. Rain.
That's easy.
Yeah, rain. We had when I was growing up, we had a side by side, and we'd go side by side, up through the canyon trails and everything. And we did it break a spring, and there was a bunch of crickets. It was like right after, I guess, all the crickets, they had all their kids and everything. Covered head to toe. The helmet we had on was filth. So, and bugs don't just fall off like rain does. you got to clean off bugs. Yeah, rain. I don't even know if there's really a whole lot to say about that.
I can deal with being wet.
Oh yeah.
Like I would even say that if I was going to ride through a swarm of bugs that were sticking on me and everything, I would almost want to then ride through the rain.
Yeah, both.
With the hopes of washing them off.
But like I said, the water doesn't really just remove them. You have to to clean bugs.
Yeah.
Rain's the answer, especially in this temperature heat wave we've been getting.
Yeah.
I almost pray for rain to ride in. So
yeah, well, gotten stuck in a few rainstorms recently.
Yeah. I hope so. I hope we start cooling down here. Okay. Would you rather have Presta or Strader valves?
Presta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's whatever you have available. I mean, if you have the pumps for both, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think, Presta valves tend to be easier to pump. They're smaller, on a lot of the Trikes that I'm riding, they're narrower wheels anyway.
And I'm glad you said that. I mean, the would you rather question's too vague, and that's why it's so good to do on these videos, because Presta valve works better, right, on a really skinny tire. If we were going to put them on a quad with a 4-inch fat tire, I'm going to be there pumping it up with my hand for a lot longer than if I had a fat Strader valve on there.
Yeah, and it depends. A lot of people, they're going to use an air compressor, or they're going to use a small pump, and we have some of those little pumps around here, those little electric pumps, or we're using shop air all the time with the air compressor nozzles. So it doesn't really matter. I'm thinking more like when I'm out on the road And if I'm having to change a flat, those Presta valves, you just kind of unscrew the core and then pop them on.
Yeah.
And they pump up really easy.
I think that people get really nervous about Presta valves just because they're unfamiliar with them.
Yeah.
But when it comes down, it's just an air valve.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, and they're kind of a lot. I mean, how many times do people go, "Hey, what kind of valve is this? I've never seen anything." Unless you're in the cycling world here in the U.S., they're not very common.
No.
I mean, the only car I've ever seen them on, was back in the '80s, the old
I was like, oh yeah. Did they have Presta valves?
That one, the one
that one did.
Yeah, it had Presta.
Inner tube tires or something.
So, I mean, at least I knew about them back then,
Yeah. Like coming from the car scene, I have no idea.
Yeah.
Presta valves were completely new. So,
I mean, they're a French valve.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
that's why Jan likes them so much.
He's sworn to him.
Ooh. Would you rather have a Pinion or a Rohloff?
If I go Pinion, I can't do a mid-drive motor and I'm stuck to a hub drive.
Yep.
Which limits me. So I like the Rohloff in this scenario. Again, I love the Rohloff. I said it earlier. But that's not to say Pinion's a bad choice. If I was not doing electric, I may go with a Pinion 18 speed in the front. Just as easy to shift through, super low maintenance, and it's easier to pair a big gearing in the front, right? Because your front sprocket, you can't ever really go bigger than a 3-speed, right? You're stuck to a 3-speed, and if you go larger, 11-speed on the back, you can't really fit a 3-speed on the front already.
Right.
So if you're going strictly non-electric, Pinion in the front, 10-speed in the rear, you have tons of gears you're working with.
Yeah.
Whereas if you do a roll-off, you're limited to at most like 2 gears in the front, right? So you go from having 18 and 10, 180, or 14 and 2 at the most,
Right.
So, and who's to say you need that many? But it's never gonna hurt.
Hey, that quad that I rode the other day, it had a 12-speed Pinion in the front and 10-speed in the back, so 120 gears on this thing, and that was fantastic. I mean, so many gears, you're never going to use them all, of course, but like going down the hill, I put it into gear 120 top gear, and it felt like every time I'm pushing, I'm doing a leg press going down the hill. And and that was a bigger, heavy quad, and I got up to about 38 miles an hour, and I thought, I need to be able to utilize all these gears. Like if I was actually going to realize the potential of 120th gear here, I would have probably needed a 2-mile downhill stretch. It's just, straight. And I might be able to reach some sort of terminal velocity with me pedaling.
Terminal velocity before.
It's just, we've done some gears over the years, or 18-speed Pinion with a Rohloff in the back, and just
both is the answer.
Yeah, and we've done that with some of the Velomobiles where they really just want to have tremendously wide.
We have a
ranges.
quad out here that's got a Pinion Rohloff right now, and that, I mean, it's crazy. And you said it perfectly. You have too many gears, you don't know what to do with. I don't know.
The nice thing though is that you're never not going to have a gear that you want.
Yeah, that's true.
If I'm choosing one or the other, though, it's kind of the same thing. For me, it comes down to, am I going to pedal or am I going to have a motor?
Right.
I think if I'm going to have a motor system, same as you, I would go with a mid-drive up front and a roll-off in the back. If I'm pedaling, though, I love matching that Pinion up with derailleur gears in the back.
Do you?
Yeah, I mean, it's just because it kind of gives you the best of both. You get that efficiency of the derailleur gearing in the back with that extra range. But then you get that advantage of the pinion where you can shift when you're stopped,
That's
when
true.
you're pedaling, when you're coasting, and you just get this tremendously wide gear range.
I mean, the reason I hear a lot of people switch to Pinion is because they don't want any derailleur. Nothing. Right?
Right.
So
yeah.
you go internal
And they'll just
rear,
go with the
internal
single
front.
cog.
Or single cog. I
Right.
mean, there's nothing to go wrong. Right.
Yeah, and people do go that way, and that's kind of how Pinion sells themselves. Most of like the mountain bikes or the other bikes that people are getting with the Pinion, they just have one sprocket in the back and the Pinion up front. Since nearly every trike that we would put a Pinion on already has a derailleur set up in the back, for me, it doesn't make any sense to get rid of that.
Right.
Just keep that and then
It's
throw
already
the
got
Pinion
it.
on the front. Now, if you're riding around and you decide, hey, I never shift out of my fourth gear in the back ever, and I just want to get rid of it, then fine.
Yeah.
But I would even almost say keep the derailleur on there, use the Pinion exclusively, and then if you ever decide, hey, I want to move my gear range up or down, find that corresponding cog in the back cassette, and then once then you go, okay, I only want the 28 tooth cog or whatever size it is. Then you go ahead and get rid of everything.
Yeah, it was like I've always joked about just once you're in the right gear, pull the derailleur off and just lace it as a single. You can have the full set of cassette back there. Just use the one.
Now we do have some of the E-quads that we build where we do a mid-mount motor under the seat. We built quite a few of those with the Pinion up front and then the 1,000-watt motor under the seat, and then Rohloff in the back.
Well, that's that exact one I'm talking about. That's I was like, it's got everything. I mean,
so you get the motor, you get the gearing. Yeah.
But those are a different piece entirely.
Right,
that's I don't want to answer the question. I'm going to tell you what I'll do instead.
Right.
I'll do them all.
Yeah. Give me everyone. Is it my turn?
I think so. Right. Yeah. I don't know.
All right. Let's see. Okay. Would you rather ride on country roads or paved bike trails?
If the paved bike trails are just as empty as the country roads, I'll go paved bike trails. But I like the solidarity of a country road. Granted, country road means that, any Joe Schmo is going to come barreling down there going however fast they want to go on that, on the outskirts. So, I mean, there's some more traffic I think you got to be worried about, but I don't know. Do you want to win or do you want to win? I don't think either option's bad here.
Yeah, I think, country roads all the way.
Yeah.
Take me home.
Take you home. Yeah, I like that.
I'm all about the give me those country roads.
Well, the country roads don't ever end.
And I love good bike trails, and I really like that here in Utah, particularly here more locally. There's a lot more bike trails being built, and there's fantastic bike trails all over the place. They're not all connected here though, so a lot of times, you ride it on a bike trail and then you go, oh, well, that wasn't very long. And now to get over to the next bike trail, a lot of times there's not even a country road in between it. Now I'm dealing with traffic, to go from one to the other. So
yeah, the real beauty is getting out in the middle of nowhere on a road that nobody drives down, and that's you just connect it to the next road.
I think that was our last question. So.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. If you guys have any more questions or would you rather, anything at all, leave it in the comments. We're here for you. We love doing these videos, so keep them coming. I think all of these were put together by our receptionist. So if you want to compete with her, we're more than happy. I did want to point out we have new decoration and decor in our set. That was sent to us by a fan. They caught wind that Ashley here has a couple cats sticking around.
They know I'm a big cat guy, and so
I just wanted to.
they had come in the shop, and they had seen we've got some Siamese cats here in the shop, and
They're just right across. We have these glass doors here, so they've been putting their paws up and staring at us the whole time we've been out here.
Are they right there?
Yeah, they've been poking up the whole time.
Bring me one of these guys here. Yeah, so we've got a few little shop mascots here, and customer came in and was like, "Oh, you're really into cats?" I said, "Yeah, you have no idea the extent that I'm into cats. We have a whole cat colony, and
we have 3 here, but many more elsewhere.
Yes, 3 here and about 30, at the ranch, and so, we get a lot of cats, and so it's pretty fun around here. And here comes one of our guys here. This guy here is JuJu. And he's one of our little special guys here, and we'll make you famous, huh? Yeah. He doesn't get out much, but
He likes it here.
yeah.
But just to close us out, everybody, if you like our channel, please stick around, like us, subscribe to us, click that notification. We have a newsletter every Friday that the same receptionist put these questions together, runs. So if you want to be featured, send us an email, let us know. We would love to have you on there. And just to wrap things up, what should we always remember?
We got to relax, spin fast, and ride trikes.
Hey, have a good one, everyone.
All right. See you guys.
Yeah.